Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight, just kind of the first thoughts after it, kind of what it means for boxing, the whole production of it. Will Netflix have more? And just maybe talking about the future of it all here today. Let's begin with Niraj Goyat versus Whindersson Nunez. Now, this was a fight that I honestly had zero expectations for. I was watching it with a few friends, and let's be honest, there really wasn't a lot going on there. But it was interesting to see an Indian fighter go against someone that I actually knew, Nunez. But overall, the fight was up and down here and there. It was cool to see Niraj Goyat win. There were some pretty good burst of combinations overall, but again, it went to decision. It was another decision, and it really wasn't that exciting. I think people, when they go to these social media spectacle fights, they want the undercards to just be tons and tons of knockouts and no draws, no decisions, nothing like that. Because again, most of the people here, I don't think are necessarily boxing fans. They're here to watch Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. They don't really care about anything that's going on in the undercard. And you could really see it in the crowd. People were bored out of their mind. They weren't making a lot of noise. They were kept going into the crowd to interview Shaq and Gronkowski. And, let's be honest, in a lot of the interviews with these fighters, I think a lot of people were looking at the girls in the back. They weren't looking at the fighters themselves. After that, there was Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. That's the next one I want to talk about. Let's just skip over Mario Barros and Evo Ramos. It was a split draw. No one seemed happy about that. The fighters didn't seem happy. The audience didn't seem happy. It looked like a lot of just meh going on there. But the Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano fight, I thought was really a banger. I mean, they were going crazy on each other. Amanda Serrano, that is a crazy cut to let go. It happened, I think in the fourth or fifth round, and they just kind of kept it going. I didn't even know whether or not the doctor was going to say anything, but the fact is, he didn't. He just let it go. I kind of thought that's a pretty deep cut, and after the fight, when Katie Taylor edged out, which apparently people thought was controversial, I thought it was pretty simple. But when Katie Taylor won, I saw a few Instagram posts of Amanda Serrano's cut afterwards. Disgusting. I mean, that's one of those cuts that I think other doctors, other refs would have just called it right there. She was bleeding everywhere. The cut was very deep. But after that, we get to the actual main meat and potatoes of it. And before we get into the Paul versus Tyson, the production, okay, Netflix's production was really up and down. You go on Twitter, people are complaining about the lag, saying the stream is buffering, this and that. Now, from my perspective, I had a little bit of stream buffering, but the bigger issue, I think, nothing was really excellent. HBO Boxing, I always felt like was the top tier for a long time. Max Kellerman made his bones over there. He was always a great commentator. They had a bunch of different boxing guys and celebrities who did not care about boxing at all. I don't really know what was going on there. They had a rotation of different boxers there. Holyfield was there. They had Cedric, the entertainer. Again, I feel like they were trying to mix the entertainment portion and the social media portion with the boxing portion of the fight. But overall, it was just meh. Again, this is Netflix's first attempt at this sort of thing, which I actually feel like might have a chance of being something. The Saudis are putting so much money into boxing right now, and a lot of people are saying they're not getting their ROI on it. Maybe Netflix can go in and, if this is successful, actually put on some real boxing fights. I'm not sure, but regardless, for a first attempt, I can't say I was impressed. People are trying to say, is this kind of representation of why one of these companies will never be able to put on a real live show, like a NFL game, NFL playoff game, whatever, where it's just tens and tens of millions of people tuning in to watch. Will it be enough? I'm not sure, but I'll be excited to see it. I think it's definitely better than the traditional way of getting one of these fights where everybody pulls in some money or you go to a bar or something. I definitely think that's outdated. And I've been waiting for a streaming company to come in and throw some money at somebody to figure this out. Unfortunately, we got Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. Now, I don't know about you guys, but there was a lot of cognitive dissonance and maybe some gaslighting going on. Who thought 58-year-old Mike Tyson was going to beat Jake Paul? 58-year-old Mike Tyson, who was in a wheelchair a couple months back and had to stop the fight, or rather reschedule it because of stomach ulcers that he needed some sort of medical procedure for. This guy he's been washed for a while. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody loses. Everybody loses to Father Time, and it just didn't work out. Now, him going against Jake Paul, it seemed like a crescendo at this point in the night. You know, everybody's been watching these fights that nobody really cares about, except for maybe the Katie Taylor fight that actually got some like hollering, and a lot of people some people in the crowd were into it. But there was like a crescendo to this, okay? Jake Paul gets in his car and he's riding down and he's singing that song from The Hangover that Mike Tyson was singing. It was goofy. It was goofy. But again, the crowd was into it. He was there with his brother, Logan Paul, I think, and they were just going in there. It seemed really hype. The commentators really didn't know what to say. They were saying stuff like, oh, he's wearing the most expensive boxing shorts or something like that. They're not talking about who's going to win the fight at all. They don't care. Nobody really cares. It's the spectacle of it. Mike Tyson comes out. He's in the iconic black shorts that he would wear when he was in his prime. He's coming down. And the first thing you notice with Mike Tyson coming down, and I mean this with no disrespect, the guy looks old. Okay? He's 58. Of course he's going to look old. But you kind of look at him and you're like, huh, I'm going to watch a 58-year-old guy box? What's going on? And he gets into the ring. There's a brief stare down. There's also some memes before of him just showing his ass accidentally. You know, hey, we all have those days, I guess. He gets in there. They start fighting. The first round or two, you could see like, oh, Mike Tyson's being a little aggressive. And I don't know, the commentary was a bit subpar there. They were trying to say, oh, he's patting himself or something like that. He's trying to get to those other rounds. Jake Paul, again, he's 30 years younger. He has a better jab at this point in his career. And that's it, really. I mean, after those two rounds, it was a complete snooze fest. And it was also kind of sad. You know, people online, people I was with, and even the commentators were just kind of like, oh, yeah, it's a 58-year-old guy fighting a 28-year-old guy. When is this ever going to go well? They started making comments like Father Time is undefeated. And there was almost like a collective realization, I felt, around me, online, and in the arena, like, why are we watching this? It started to get a little sad. You know, Jake Paul's jabbing him. Jake Paul's keeping pressure. And yeah, that was pretty much it. Now, I want to talk about the rounds, right? 2-minute rounds. And only counting after the fourth round or something like that. Only counting against the person's record. What the hell's going on? Who sanctioned this shit? 2-minute rounds in an 8-round fight? It's so weird. And you know, watching it, I really didn't like it. You know, no 4-minute rounds, 8 rounds. Like, what's going on here? But overall, it was just bleh. It was just a meh fight. I didn't really know where Tyson was mentally. You know, it's kind of this weird thing that boxers do, right? A lot of boxers, a lot of fighters don't really know when to quit. They'll always come back. They'll always fight. They'll always do this and that. And usually it's because they're broke, right? Let's just be real. A lot of these guys come back to fight because they got money issues. You know, Muhammad Ali was one of the unfortunate, most prevalent examples of this because he got screwed a bunch in his career with all this money issues. And he had to come back and fight, and he did all this stuff past his prime that really he shouldn't have been doing. Tyson, I assume he's making great money. I mean, this is a fight. Obviously, he's going to be making tens of millions from, sure. But what's going on here? Why is he fighting Jake Paul at his age? For what, publicity? I don't think he really wins from this other than the monetary aspect of it. But again, we're kind of in this weird situation with boxing, right? The top guys, Usyk, Canelo, Fury, they're always going to be making a lot of money out of this. But boxing as a whole doesn't seem that popular in America, right? So guys like Jake Paul, they're kind of able to just put on these little freak show fights. And that's kind of my biggest fear with boxing as a whole. Are we getting to a point where this is what boxing is? It's YouTubers versus other guys who aren't YouTubers, just way past their prime. If that's what it is, I mean, is this what we want? I don't think the main boxing fans in America want this. They don't want Jake Paul fighting 58-year-old Mike Tyson. They don't want 58-year-old Mike Tyson fighting in general. But here we are. We all watched it. I think everyone at the end of the night kind of felt a little shameful. I'll be honest with you. Everyone kind of was like, oh, here's a 28-year-old guy beating a 58-year-old guy. Now, in the future, is this going to be a concept of success? Is Jake Paul going to call out I don't know, Roy Jones Jr. or something, or Evander Holyfield. I don't think so. But I can definitely see something like this happening again with another Floyd fight or something like that. You know, Floyd Mayweather, he's a guy who's all about his money. I could definitely see him coming back into the ring, not fighting like a Logan Paul, fighting someone more close to his size, maybe in a real box match, maybe someone who's better than Logan Paul, maybe. But overall, it was just a weird night. Weird night for a lot of people. I think on Twitter, a lot of people were talking more about those ring girls than anything else. And I'll be honest, they were good looking, so I can't blame them. But we were just there sitting like, oh, this is it. A 28-year-old guy beating up a 58-year-old guy. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Everybody have a great day.